program was recorded at the ARC Annual Industry Forum in Orlando, Florida. I'm pleased to welcome Editor-in-Chief of Supply Chain Brain, Russell Goodman.
Joining us for a conversation today about performance-based outsourcing is Adrian Gonzalez, Director, Logistics Viewpoints at ARC Advisory Group. Welcome, Adrian.
Glad to be here.
Adrian, clearly there is a lot of interest in performance-based outsourcing, PBO, if you will. Why? Walk us through. Tell us why.
Well, if you look at the state of 3PL customer relationships over the past, at least over the past 11 years since I've been looking at it, I would say in a lot of cases, those relationships have been stuck in a rut. And what I mean by that is, a lot of the cost benefits, the service level benefits are achieved in the first few years of the relationship. And then kind of you get into year 3, year 4, year 5, and yeah, you're still achieving some level of success, but you're kind of stuck in a rut in terms of being able to take the relationship, take the level of performance to a new level. So I think companies that have been outsourcing for a while, that have existing outsourced relationships that they're looking to get to the next level, I think they're looking for new frameworks, new ways of structuring those relationships to really achieve new levels of success.
Well, let's talk about the relationship that exists between 3PLs and their customers. What are the challenges and the constraints that you see on those relationships today?
Right. I think one of the interesting things I talk about it as being kind of a schizophrenic type of relationship. So, what you see in a lot of cases is, companies outsource, their transportation or their warehousing or, broader logistics process because either they're having cost issues or service level issues, or they think it's not a core competency that, hey, Mr. 3PL, you're the expert at this. But at the same time, once they outsource this, they want to still maintain some level of control, or they want to be able to dictate how that 3PL ought to operate. So again, on the one hand, you're outsourcing. On the other hand, you still want to maintain some control, and that creates some tension there. I think the other thing is that a lot of these relationships have been very transaction-oriented, very short-term in nature. In many cases, 1 year in length. At most, in general, 3 years or less. So that also creates some constraints there in the relationship because many service providers are going to be unwilling to make investments in people and technology and infrastructure if the business can go away in 1 year, 2 years. So I think that's another constraint that kind of prevents these relationships to really progressing to kind of the next stage.
Do you see performance-based outsourcing having a role to play in overcoming the kind of challenges that you just outlined?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, really, if you were to boil down what is PBO or vested outsourcing, as some other folks are calling it, it really implies a mind shift. Really taking a completely different approach to the way that companies currently, approach the relationship. Right now it tends to be more of I'm the customer, you're the supplier. PBO is really about forming a partnership, creating a shared vision, if you will, creating a joint business plan, really identifying as big a business opportunity as possible where both sides can come out as winners. But it's a lot of work. There's a lot of upfront work involved in that process. But I think if you're disciplined and if you go through that process, I think it's a win for both parties.
It occurs to me that a number of viewers might be convinced at this point of the value of PBO, but their question might be, is it the right model, nevertheless, for every outsourced logistics relationship?
And the answer is clearly no. I mean, I think in the research that we've done, in fact, most outsourced relationships, don't need PBO or vested outsourcing. A lot of times, companies just really want to procure a basic service, whether it's transportation capacity or some warehousing space, and they're really looking for the best service at the best price and nothing more. But I think in all cases, or in many cases, companies have 1 or 2 relationships with 3PLs that are now in their 4th or 5th year, where that partner has already, has broader responsibility. And really that's where the opportunity is, I believe, is in taking those existing relationships with some level of trust is already in place, where some proven level of performance has already been established. And really PBO, vested outsourcing, really is about how do you take that to the next level? How do you add, to kind of use the marriage analogy, how do we add spice back into this relationship?
I'm kind of interested about where ARC is going with this over the next several months. Where do you see your research, in vested outsourcing, PBO?
Well, I think clearly we're still at the early adopter phase. We're still in the education phase. A lot of companies still don't fully understand what PBO is or what vested outsourcing is. A lot of folks think it's gain sharing. They say, oh, we've done that. We wasn't very successful. And so they may not take a second look at it. And it really is goes far beyond gain sharing. So I think over the next year, we're really going to focus on continue to educate the market, continue to look for case studies and best practices around this area. I think there's a lack of those success stories out there, mainly because the companies that are doing it don't want to talk about it because they view it as a competitive advantage. But I think over time, I think more and more companies that are engaged in this are going to be willing to talk about it. And that's going to be the role that we want to play, is to be able to help educate the market and share those stories out there.
Given the need to educate the market, as you say, it's probably very difficult to answer this next question, but where do you think things will be in the next year? Or perhaps where would you like to see things in the next year as it relates to PBO?
Right, I think probably the latter part of it, where would I like to see it? I think hopefully that there will be greater awareness of what PBO, vested outsourcing, is a year from now. Again, like I said, mentioned earlier, I think there's a lot of misconceptions or just lack of understanding of what it is. So hopefully a year from now, a lot more companies will have started to at least investigate or try to learn about this. I also hope that some more case studies will come out in terms of really demonstrating in concrete terms the unique benefits and opportunities that PBO, vested outsourcing, can provide companies. And of course, like anything else, there's challenges associated with this, and really understanding how companies have overcome those challenges to implement PBO in their companies and their relationships.
Adrian, valuable information. Thank you for being with us here today.
Thank you.
Adrian Gonzalez, ARC Advisory Group, speaking with us today about performance-based outsourcing. Thanks for watching.